Have you been curious about these collapsible Sea to Summit pots? Well, great, because that's what we're looking at today. This is a pot video, and we're gonna cook up a recipe in it. And what are we making today? We are making chili mac. Yes, chili mac. Specifically, fresh, ultralight chili mac. Yep, let's get to it. Oh yeah, look at that. No weight at all. This smells and looks amazing. A little bit of crunch. Hey, Chef Corso, Outdoor Eats. I'm here to put you on the path to amazing meals on your outdoor treks, and I'm coming to you today from Taos, New Mexico. I've been in New Mexico for the last couple of weeks, and man, it has been really, really fun to explore. But what we're looking at today is the Sea to Summit collapsible pots. You may have seen these before at the local outdoor shop. You may have never seen these before. Anyway, great, we're gonna cook in them today. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at multiple different capacities, we're gonna look at some specs on what these are, how these work, and then we are going to cook up a recipe in them to see how they work. But let's just take a look at this real quick. Oh, look at that. Yeah. All right, let's do it. All right, before we start cooking here, I just want to note on what we're cooking on because we are really focusing on the pot here, but I am using just a pocket rocket, classic option for the backpacker. But as you've seen in some of my other videos, some other stove videos, I'm a big fan of ratio of burner surface area to pot surface area. So for here, this actually works pretty well. We're gonna have a lot of nice flame hitting a good portion of our pot here. So thinking about that, I wouldn't necessarily use this pocket rocket on this specific stove because look at how big that is. We're only gonna be able to get a flame onto right about here. So if I was using this bigger pot, I might use like a whisper light or a different packable stove here that will have a larger surface area, more flame so that we have better even heat and more heat hitting the pot to be able to cook up our food a little bit faster. So for here, I think this is a really, really nice ratio. It's also gonna have some really nice stability on here. So we're not gonna worry too much about it flipping and tipping off like kind of like that. So that's why I'm choosing kind of these today. But when you are looking for a new stove in a new pot, you can buy them from the same manufacturer or you can mix and match. But what I, again, always look for is the ratio of the burner and the flame to the pot that I am cooking on for best results and best even cooking. Let's take a look at our ingredients for our fresh ultralight chili mac. So we have got some mac. And I am choosing to use Disney Mickey and Friends pasta because, you know, eating Mickey's head and Minnie's head just tastes better sometimes. I don't know, but just classic packaged mac and cheese. We've got some dehydrated pinto beans. These are whole beans, but you can also use the flaked, which take a little bit less time in cooking up, but these are great to have in the pantry. We've got some chili powder, some salt, some sumac, which I'll talk about in a little bit, some oil packets, which are really great, easy packing, and making it fresh ultralight. So this is a very, very low weight recipe, but for adding a little bit of freshness, which I love to do for Outdoor Eats recipes, is we have a little bit of fresh cheese and some fresh pepper that we're gonna chop up and throw in there. It'll give us some really nice texture and crunch, but just a little bit of those type of fresh ingredients can go a long way to building a really, really great meal and not just having it be sloppy and wet and, you know, not that great. Hey guys, I'm in New Mexico and man, I've been eating a whole bunch of green chili, and as I've been eating burritos and enchiladas and stuffed sopapillas, I'm like, man, it would be really, really great to be able to have green chili out on the trail. Like Hatch green chilies, they are so good. But I'm like, well, you could easily pack a couple fresh peppers like we are here today. But I'm like, man, I wish there was something else. But I found it. I found it for you guys, and I found it for me too. So this is Hatch green chili freeze dried. So we are gonna make this local here and make this a Hatch green chili mac. Yes. And thanks, Sea to Summit, for sending all these over so I can test them out. So as you can see, we have multiple different capacities here, and it just really depends on how many people you're cooking for. The big old 4-liter can cook up quite a few portions. I'm probably thinking like 6 to 8 to 10 portions, depending on what you're cooking. This 2.8 liter option could be really great for 3 to 4 people. And what we are going to cook on today is the 1.4 liter, which would be great for just about probably 2 to 3 people. Other thing to note here on their overall construction and what's going on, they do have a strainer option here. They do have some very nice safety tips here. Turn off stove before handling. Hot tip there. Do not expose walls to flame. Yes, that's very important. I'll talk about it in a second. And beware of steam. Yep, all very, very good safety measures to think about. Also, they've got some really nice options here to be able to line up the arrows, to be able to fold and collapse down. So that's all ready to go, slide right in your pack. Another thing to note here before we start cooking up our chili mac is that I've had experience with this, and I do enjoy the collapsible construction, but one thing to note here, and one thing they note as well, is make sure that your flame does not reach the sides here. And what I also suggest is to not do a lot of dry, hot sauteing or cooking in here. You can do it for just a few seconds, but not for very long. Why? Because this adhesive and whatever is connecting here to here will not do its job anymore. And I've had a pot rip apart on a trail. And you know what I was doing when the top of the pot and the bottom of the pot split apart is, I was testing out Spam singles on the trail because you want to be able to cook up some Spam and see how it goes, but it actually broke my pot. So just be really mindful of that to make sure that you don't break your pot. But wet cooking, boiling water is just fine. Again, you can saute in here for a few seconds, but not for a prolonged amount of time. It's just not built for that. So first thing is we're gonna get some water boiling. And in the recipe we have over here, I do note to just boil the water and boil the pasta, but this one has flaked beans. These are gonna take a few more minutes, so we're just gonna go ahead and throw those in now and cook them both up together. Oh, Mickey and Minnie and a bunny in a pot. Awesome. So what is kind of nice about this is it does have these little flaps that you can hold on to, help with your overall stability. And Taos here is actually at 6,900 feet, which is crazy. So it's going to take a few extra minutes for our water to boil here. And I'm going to go ahead and add our seasonings in here too, so they can go ahead and start to flavor up our bowl here. And we're going to go ahead and add in our hatch chilies too. I'm super excited about trying these. I haven't tried them yet. Oh yeah, look at that. No weight at all. Yes. Sweet. Oh wow, I can already smell those hatch chilies hydrating up. Oh wow. So we're just waiting for our beans to cook and our pasta to cook up as well. But man, look at all those flavors starting to come together. Wow, this is really, really coming together. One thing I'm curious about as we are continuing to cook here is how it's gonna stick to the bottom, which I'll show you at the end after we're done. Wow, but man, look at those green chilies. Look at those Mickey and Minnies and bunnies just having a grand old time in the pot. So we are going to go ahead and add our cheese packet and these fresh ingredients. And if you don't want to use cheese slices, you could easily just use the cheese snacks, or some of the moon cheese or Parmesan crisps could be really, really good in here. I do have the oil packets to be able to hydrate up and give us a few extra calories as well. But let's finish this thing up. And so why I like adding a little bit of freshness to this pot, you don't have to pack a pepper, you don't have to pack the fresh cheese chunks, but it's gonna give us some really nice texture and some additional layers of flavor that I think are really, really important and super, super tasty. Wow, oh yeah, look at that. Cheesy powder getting through everything. But the thing about this bowl too, is a little bit of crunch is really, really nice. So even if you don't want to pack the peppers, some pepitas could be really nice on here, or just a handful of mixed nuts as well. So, and the last ingredient I have over here is sumac, which may be a new one for you, but this is a really great way to add a little bit of citrusy, lemony flavor to your dishes with packing hardly any weight. But I'll put a link down below so you can check that out. If you can't find sumac, look for za'atar seasoning as well. That could be a really nice addition if you don't want to pack a lemon or a lime or a little bit of vinegar. Cheesy and melty. I think we're pretty much done. Wow. Always, always remember to pack it out. This smells and looks amazing. But literal hot tip before we take a bite is the buff I was wearing also turns into a pot holder super quick. But man, let's give this a try. I mean, this is enough for like 2 to 3 portions depending on how hungry bear you are. Yep. Wow. That hatch green chili is really coming through. A little bit of crunch from the pepper. Whole bunch of cheesiness running through this whole thing. Yeah, whew, wow, this is really, really good. Well, I'm gonna sit here and finish my dinner here as I'm staring at golden hour coming over these mountains. But when I'm done, I'll show you what the bottom of the pot looks like. Guys, this is why you do it. The sun is setting, you've got beautiful mountains in the background, and you get to have a great meal while looking at this. It's why I do this. It's absolutely fantastic. So let's take a look at the pot here. And I did eat all of that, and this was really, really excellent, super, super tasty. There's a nice little zip from the chilies. There's really, really hearty flavor. You are definitely gonna be full after eating this, and it really only cooks up in about 10 minutes, if that, which is pretty awesome. So let's look at the pot. So I didn't do a whole lot of scraping here, just so you can see what it looks like. And this does need a little bit of a water reboil clean and a wipe out, but there's nothing really sticking there. So that is very, very helpful. I know a lot of you guys just hate doing dishes, but if you accept that dishes are part of life, that would be less bad. But that is a very, very positive for these Sea to Summit pots. So overall, 1, I'm full. 2, I'm happy. But these pots are very, very solid, really good option if you're looking for a lower volume pot. Also, what I do like about this is the overall surface area to be able to stir and to cook with. A lot of the chimney style stoves, it's really hard to dig to the bottom of them, and they have a tendency to scorch when you are cooking on them. So it is nice to have a little bit more surface area to be able to play around with for even cooking, better cooking, all that kind of thing. But again, make sure whatever size that you choose is make sure that your burner fits it as far as stability and also for overall even heat. And you can pick and choose based on different brands or different models that you like. Ooh, boy, Chili Mac's coming up already, but it's a good thing. So overall, Sea to Summit pots, thumbs up. Good stuff going on here. We're coming along for testing out these Sea to Summit pots and watching me eat dinner by a mountain in New Mexico. But a very, very solid option depending on the number of people you're cooking for, depending on the style of trip, and depending on what burner you want to match with it. But get out there, cook something amazing somewhere awesome. Boca boca.